Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be covering the Packers' 31-29 loss against the Minnesota Vikings. This is a pretty disappointing game for me as a Packers fan. I hate the Vikings so much, and they were whooping our ass in the first quarter. They were beating us 28-0 before a late muff punt that led to a Jaden Reed connection with Jordan Love on a beautiful pass and catch. Overall, this game has a lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of things to look at. So I went around, watched the game 2 times over, and graded all the players on what I thought they performed like. I went over some position groups and then I covered some individual players that I think needed a set video made on them. So let's look over these grades. Let's see who played well, who needs to improve upon their play, and overall what I think of the performance of the players and team overall. If you enjoy film breakdowns or you want me to break down your team or player, please like and subscribe and comment down below who you want. I appreciate all the support in the last few videos. It's really mind-blowing how much the channel has grown over only a week. I think it's only fair that we look at Jordan Love first. Jordan Love completed 32 of 54 for 389 yards and 4 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Jordan Love walked into the game wearing a Brett Favre jersey, and he played like Brett Favre. He was a gunslinger. He wanted to win the game, and he was going to die trying. Jordan Love threw some very good balls, and the 3 interceptions really doesn't reflect on how many he threw. One of them was tipped by Luke Musgrave when it was intended for Romeo Doubs and was a bad play by Luke Musgrave and Romeo Doubs more than it was Jordan Love. But he should put the ball more above Luke Musgrave there, where he doesn't even think he has the chance to get it. So I gave his first half grade a C+. I think a lot of people are going to come out this game with more negative thoughts about Jordan Love than they really should. Jordan Love played bad in this game, but he also had extreme highs to pair with his extreme lows. That's why I gave his second half grade an A-. He had the one interception to Byron Murphy back of the end zone when he was targeting Dontavian Wicks on the 9 route. But you can't blame him that much because there was a free rusher off the edge in Harrison Smith who was just about to blast him, and he really had to get rid of the ball. But you would like to see him throw that ball away on 1st and 10 instead of chucking it into the hands of the Vikings defender, of course. Overall, I graded him out at a B. Saw some good things coming back from injury, but definitely saw some things that we need to improve upon if we want to be a winning team. Jordan Love really needs to clean up the turnovers, and he obviously wasn't 100% this game, so I'm going to hold on hope that he does clean up these turnover issues. I think Jordan Love, when he gets his leg 100%, will be much more accurate. We saw this game him throw more than a couple actually, quite a few balls were underthrown because he just didn't have the power in his legs to push the ball where he wanted it to. So he had to torque his whole body to get these balls up, which also didn't help his accuracy in any way, shape, or form, which led to a lot of drops. But we'll focus on the drops later when we talk about the receivers, but it was a really bad game by the receivers as well. I won't spend much time going over Emmanuel Wilson and Josh Jacobs because they didn't really have noteworthy games. Josh Jacobs had 9 carries for 51 yards, 5.7 yards per carry. Emmanuel Wilson had 8 carries for 27 yards, 3.4 yards per carry. We saw a nice split of Emmanuel Wilson and Josh Jacobs, which was kind of cool to see. Emmanuel Wilson was on the field quite a bit, and I believe that is because the Packers think he's a better pass protecting back, which I do believe is true. I gave them a B grade first half and second half and overall. I think they played well. Definitely nothing super mind-blowing by Josh Jacobs or Emmanuel Wilson. We saw some nice plays, but when the holes opened in the offensive line, they made the play they had to. So overall, a pretty average game for the running backs. A player worth talking about is Jaden Reed, and as you can see, he's my star of the game. He had 7 receptions for 139 yards and a touchdown. I gave him A first half grade, A second half grade, and an overall grade of an A. And Jaden Reed has pulled away as the #1 wide receiver on the Packers. I don't think there's any debate at this point that he is the best player on the Packers offense on the receiving side. I think he shows early Randall Cobb vibes, and I really like from what we've seen from him. Overall, he separates very well. He's got great speed down the field, and he's really good out of the slot, which is fun to see because the Packers really haven't had a good slot receiver since prime Randall Cobb. He really is great. He's great versatile. He's a versatile receiver. I think very soon he will be considered a top 10 back or a top 10 receiver in the NFL. Overall, the touchdown was an amazing throw and catch by Jordan Love and Jaden Reed. He made some big plays down the field, and I think with Jordan Love back, he really is going to flourish in these offense and start gaining incredible numbers. Because in the 2 games we've seen against the Eagles and now against the Vikings, he has had over 120 yards and a touchdown. I really like his upside. In fantasy, pick him up. When looking at Dontavian Wick's game from afar, it looks like a pretty solid game actually. 5 receptions for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns, but there is the asterisk there that he had 3 to 5 drops. I think 3 is the low end and 5 is the high end. You can range it or average it out wherever you want. Some of the balls were not great from Jordan Love, but definitely ones that he should catch. There's the one in the back of the end zone that hit him in the chest and he just completely dropped it. Terrible play. He needs to catch that ball. It's a touchdown, and it would put in the Packers in a position to win that game. So I averaged him out to a C plus grade. He did have the big 2 touchdowns and 78 yards. He was decent, but he did have those back-breaking drops. So C plus I think is appropriate, seeing as he did have those high upside plays, but also the downside plays. I see his performance very similar to Jordan Love, but with some lower lows. He really needs to clean up those drop issues. His development has really been halted by these drops. The Packers' offense has not been built around him as much as it was last season. Last season, we saw the Packers drop some concepts for Dontavian Wicks, and now at this point, all the concepts have been moved on and been drawing towards Jaden Reed, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I do believe Jaden Reed is the better player at this point. Let's talk about this handsome man on your screen right now, because I think he had a very good game as well. 6 receptions for 53 yards and a touchdown for Tucker Kraft. He did lose one fumble, but I think there was a very unlucky fumble. It got punched out, and it looked like it should have ran out of bounds, but there was like super glue on the field, and it stayed on the field, and the Vikings recovered it. I put no show next to Luke Musgrave. I believe he had 3 catches for 13 yards, so I didn't even put him in the game. He has taken a clear role as tight end too. He can't block as well. He's not as good after the catch. And Tucker Kraft is clearly the better player as of right now. Tucker Kraft, I think, has the potential to be one of the best tight ends in the NFC, if not the NFL. His progression track right now has been incredible. He's an incredible blocker, even though PFF says he's not. I don't know what games they watch. He's incredible. So overall, I gave him a B plus. I'll put the clip on the screen, but the run after catch that got him his touchdown is absolutely absurd. It's run after catch from a tight end that you just don't see. He's really just put his shoulder down and lay a dude out. It's so impressive, and I was getting hype when it happened. That was because I thought the Packers were going to win the game and come back, but they didn't. So thanks for breaking my heart, Tucker Kraft. You're still handsome, and I'll love you forever. All right, now looking at the offensive line. The offensive line I graded out difference between pass and run blocking because I think it is important to distinct between the two. Pass blocking I gave a C minus. I thought it was a pretty poor pass blocking performance by the Packers offensive line. We saw players even like Zach Tom who have been the most consistent players on the Packers offensive line pass blocking. Zach Tom hasn't allowed a pressure up to this point in the season. He allowed at least 2 this game, which was disappointing to see. He was the only tackle in the NFL not to allow a pressure. They credit Lane Johnson with no pressures, but he allowed a sack to Rashawn Gary week 1, and that counts as a pressure. But that's besides the point. They didn't count it a pressure because his center snapped the ball early, which is dumb. He wasn't set. He should be responsible for that pressure. But the run blocking, like I said, was fine. When they were able to run the ball early in the first half, they ran the ball decently effective, but they had to go away from the run so early because they got down so quick. Not much to note about the offensive line. Definitely need to work on the pass blocking, but it is a Brian Flores defense, and early in the season, the pass rush is actually insane. His defense will fall off, Viking fans. Don't get too cocky. You will fall off later in the season. Sam Darnold should have had 2 interceptions this game. One was dropped by Isaiah McDuffie, Packers linebacker, but that's besides the point. I won't get too upset. So looking at the defensive line here, I put standouts, nobody. Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark have been invisible all season, as we've seen Devontae Wyatt be the breakout player, who sadly got injured in this game. Hopefully he turns out okay. In the first half, the Packers had no pass rush. It was pitiful. Sam Darnold could sit back in the pocket and do whatever he wanted, and he diced us up, as any capable quarterback would do in the NFL with a clean pocket. If you have a clean pocket and you can sit back there 5+ seconds, any capable NFL quarterback will dice a defense up, and that's what we saw Sam Darnold do. But in the second half, they sent some more exotic blitzes. Keyshawn Nixon off a nickel blitz got a strip sack on Sam Darnold in the second half. Sam Darnold had 2 turnovers in this game. He should have had way more. But those exotic blitzes are really what make the Packers' pass rush work, seen as Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark are underperforming. Hopefully, like I said, Devontae Wyatt can come back soon. We'll see some more looks for Kobe Wooden, and Carl Brooks, which should be cool to see. I'm excited to see their upside as players and pass rushers, but overall, I'm a little disappointed on Devontae Wyatt being injured, and Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary, like I said, have been no shows and quite disappointing early this season. The linebacker play is almost the exact same as the defensive line. Early in the first half, they were underperforming Isaiah McDuffie and Eric Wilson, and Quay Walker were decent in the run game, but always get lost in coverage. For a standout, I put Edgerrin Cooper, not exactly because he was flying around the field making a ton of plays, but because he should be on the field and every down. He's already somehow the best pass coverage linebacker on the team, in my opinion. What we've seen from him in limited action is quite impressive. He's a really fast player. He chases players down, and he's overall been really good. And I would like to see him on the field every play, whether we're in nickel, big nickel, standard 4-3. I think he should be on the field at any time. I don't know why he's not on the field. Tyron Hopper should get more looks too. I'm sick of seeing Eric Wilson and Isaiah McDuffie and Quay Walker get lost in coverage every week and have tight ends run behind them and have Xavier McKinney have to make up for their mistakes, who's an absolute star, by the way. Don't get it twisted. He is the best safety in the NFL, but we'll go on to him later. So the second half, they did get better, though. The Vikings ran the ball a lot more, and as much as they have their qualms and mistakes in the first half and in the pass coverage, the linebackers are solid in the run, especially Isaiah McDuffie, who is a really solid run defending linebacker. But overall, I would average them out to about a B grade. Saw some good things, saw more bad things, but in the second half, the whole team completely locked in and almost had that comeback, like I said. All right, moving on to the secondary here. We saw Xavier McKinney, of course, being the standout of the game. Had another interception, which wasn't really an interception, but we don't talk about that. He didn't get his feet in. But fourth interception, if you count it, which I will because I don't care. Fourth interception in 4 games. Like I said, I believe he's the best safety in the NFL. If you want to check out a video seeing how the Packers use Xavier McKinney and all the cool ways they use him, because they really use him in a variety of ways, check that out on my channel. I think it's really cool. I think it's one of the more interesting videos on my channel, one of my better videos on my channel, but the watch time on it is like 1.5 minutes, so quite unfortunate that's underperforming, but the rest of the videos are doing great. I'll always be grateful for all the viewers. So the corners I gave a C, though. Obviously, Jair Alexander and Carrington Valentine were out this game, and they were short manned, and they struggled, but you expect them to, which is quite unfortunate, but you're down, you're arguably your 2 best corners. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. But like I said, overall, safeties performed great. Jonathan Bullard missed a tackle or 2, but has been solid in coverage. And Evan Williams should be on the field more instead of Keyshawn Nixon, who has been underperformer up to this point. But if I say that on Twitter, he'll yell at me. He has some angry tweets at some people who criticize his play on the field. So thanks for being a man, baby, Keyshawn Nixon, and how about you get better at playing and the nickel? I actually don't blame Keyshawn Nixon too much this game. He wasn't the only problem. They had him outside against Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson just burnt him and absolutely found the ball. It was a beautiful catch by Justin Jefferson. I can't blame Keyshawn Nixon too much. All right, on to my worst player of the game, and I'm not going to call you out, but I'm going to call you out. Brandon Narveson went 0 for 2 on field goals, missed a 30-yarder and a 40-yarder. Overall, it was really bad. I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers move on soon, but Matt LaFleur in his postgame press conference gushed about him and said how much he believes in him, so that's also unfortunate. I never want to root on a player's downfall, but Matt LaFleur has been slow to move on from players, as well has Rich Bisaccia, the Packers special team coordinator. We saw that with Amari Rodgers and Keyshawn Nixon, who has been really underwhelming at kick returning up to this point as well. But Bull Melton is my standout of the game. He had that, like I said, that muffed punt recovery that led to the first touchdown of the game for the Packers. And honestly, another standout could be Packers punter Daniel Whelan. He averaged 60 yards a punt on 3 punts. Honestly, a really solid game. He's turning out to be a pretty good punter in this league, and I'm really impressed on how he has played. He's one of the only bright spots about our special teams right now. So, like I said, overall a disappointing loss for the Packers, but I do believe they'll come back better against the Rams. Hopefully, get a win. I'm predicting a 70-1 win against the Rams. Jordan Love throws 800 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, and Xavier McKinney gets 8 interceptions. Overall, like I said, a little disappointed, but not much you can do. There's definitely some things you could work on. I hope to see Jordan Love fully recovered before next game and see what he can do when he has his entire leg and not half his leg. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, comment down below who you'd like me to break down. New week of NFL football just finished, so new prospects to look at. Anthony Richardson I could look at again and have better content because apparently everyone wants to hear about Anthony Richardson. The video has over 440 views, so that's amazing for a first video, but if you want to see anything, like I said, comment down below. I appreciate all the views and support.